Greetings, everyone. I'm Taisha Essex back with another great video. Tonight, I'm joined by Mr. Willie Cartwright. How are you doing tonight, Mr. Cartwright?
I am awesome. Good to see you. Hope everyone out there doing well.
Yes, we are excited about tonight's broadcast because we came up with the topic and we're like, yeah, I believe everyone can relate to it. We're going to provide history and then also just talk about gospel songs. We'll talk about the history of gospel music and how it's renewed itself throughout the centuries, throughout the decades. But yeah, I'm excited. So tonight, please be active in the chat. Thank you to everyone who's joining us live. Shout out to Two Visions. I already stated you showing out. Very interesting though. Can't wait to tune in. And to John Nick, good afternoon to y'all. Brother Cartwright, can you tell everyone who's tuning in for the first time who you are, what you've accomplished, and where they can find you if they happen to enjoy our conversation tonight?
So I am Willie Cartwright. I am the author of the book From Saved to Sane, My Journey Away from Christianity and Why Christianity Has Been Detrimental to the African American Community. I was a Christian for 40 plus years, born and raised in the Bible Belt, Deep South. My mother was very devout and became a minister in the last 10 or so years of her life. I broke away, my wife and I, we broke away from Christianity, organized religion about 6 years ago now. I think it was 2015. So we broke away from religion, organized religion, and Christianity. So I'm on a journey. I no longer consider myself a Christian or a believer, as some of you out there like to say. And I've kind of found my niche, kind of found my mission. I discovered that there are a lot more people out there like me, more importantly, that look like me, but have been hesitant in coming out or acknowledging that they are no longer believers. There are people out there like me who look like me, who have questions, who are skeptics, from being skeptics all the way to full fledged atheists. And so we're just trying to create a community here, create a space here where all of those people are welcome. We can express our opinions without worrying about being ostracized. We can be open and free about what we believe and what we don't believe, and get questions answered and kind of communicate with each other about the subject of religion. And it's not necessarily all for all non-believers. If you're a believer and you come on and you have information, or you want to share some information, even if you want to challenge me on some of the topics that we might talk about, I am more than welcome and more than open. So, been doing this a while now, for about 6 years. It took me a couple of years to write the book. The book came out a couple of years ago. And you can find me more of my videos on my YouTube channel, From Saved to Sane. Um, and I'm on Instagram under Willie Cartwright 1906. Facebook, if you want to laugh at some funny memes that I post, and engage in some of the debates and arguments I have with other believers, including theologians. That is WC O'Neal, Oneal, WC, and then O'Neal. That's me on Facebook. So I think that's pretty much it. So glad to have everyone on board with us today.
Wonderful. I forget that I have myself on mute at times that I might start talking. You cannot hear me. Right before we began, you were talking about a review of your book and how important your book has been in finding other like minds. Can you share that with us right quick? And I'll get all of your banners made and to give other people a chance to join. I really enjoyed the beginning of it. So I'm like, hold on. Got to share it with the family.
Okay, great. I appreciate that. Yeah, so like I said, we wrote the book. It took us a couple of years. We released it about a year and a half ago. I want to say August of 2019, I think. Oh, might have been last year. I'm getting old. But anyway, so the book has been. I've been pleasantly surprised. To be honest, I didn't really write the book to sell a lot of copies. I wrote the book because I wanted it to become a conversational piece. I wanted it to become a door opener for people who may be in the same boat that I'm in or that I was in. And so I wanted I wanted to basically for it to be a conversation starter, especially in our community regarding religion and particularly Christianity, because that's what I'm familiar with. But I've sold a lot more copies than I ever thought I would, and I've been getting a lot of support from people in the community and people that I know and friends, fraternity brothers, the whole 9 yards. And so one of my fraternity brothers, particularly, he really pushes the book, and he's told a bunch of friends, and he invited me to an event last night here in Atlanta at a place. We got to the event, and immediately, we having drinks and talking, and one of the guys mentioned that he had purchased the book because my fraternity brother was like, "Yo, you guys got to get this book." He said, "I already purchased it. I was in London, got back, and it was waiting for me, in my mailbox." He said, "I got it already." And so we started. That instantly struck up a conversation, and we started talking about the book. The guy who purchased the book, he still considers himself a Christian, but he had some questions and concerns and just some issues. And as we started to speak, and I started to speak about the book and Christianity in particular and religion, and kind of informing him of the history of religion and Christianity and everything else that was going on, and some of the stuff in the book, um, it was interesting to see his reaction, and I'm finding that reaction. I'm seeing the reaction more and more and more. I'm finding more people of color are starting to ask questions, are starting to come out of religion, are starting to come out of Christianity, and even Islam to a certain point. Um, it just really started to question it. And now there are phases that people go through. Uh, we begin with, okay, I'm no longer associated with the church, but I'm still a believer. I still believe in God. And then as they do more research, not all of them, but a lot of them, as people continue to do research, then it became, okay, maybe I'm just not a Christian anymore, and I'm not affiliated with the church, but I still believe in God. And then for some people, that goes even a step further. So, okay, I'm no longer in the church. I'm no longer a Christian. I no longer believe in God, but I believe there is something out there. And then eventually, a portion of those individuals just become full fledged. Okay, I don't believe in any deity, any God whatsoever. So it's interesting to see the evolution of people, how it happens. And it's really good to see that more and more people are open and asking questions, and if and embarking upon this journey, and if this journey takes them somewhere else, and it's fine. So as part, and the conversation went on about 2 hours. It was probably five of us engaged in the conversation, um, but it was really interested in a lot of the things that I had to say because of some of the stuff they really was not aware of. Ironically, toward the end, about middle way in the conversation, a gentleman walked up, and he kind of said a few words to one of the other guys, nothing related to the topic, just something. How was the food? And when the guy walked off, the guy was speaking with that he was speaking with, that was part of our conversation, said to me, he said, "That guy's a minister, and he's been sitting behind you the whole time." Now, mind you, I had been talking for probably 45 minutes or so about the subject of religion and Christianity, and this guy being a minister or theologian or whatever, he did not address any of it. He didn't even look me in the face. He had no comments about what I said, no challenges, nothing whatsoever. And so that let me know that either I'm sure that he wanted to engage, but he probably didn't have an entry point because he couldn't contradict anything that I was saying. Because if he didn't want to engage, he wouldn't have walked up and kind of just stood there in the middle of the conversation. And I told the guy, I said, "Listen, I kind of thought something was up because this guy appeared out of nowhere, right in the middle of our conversation." But yeah, so that's kind of an intro. We're kind of talking about it, but we're going to get started with these songs. And so I think one of the reasons why I thought this was a great topic that Taisha came up with is because the songs provide for us, or have provided for us, an emotional cushion. It's part of the show, as I call it, and it's a
Mhm.
very important part of the show. The songs in a church, it puts us in the right mindset, the right mood for what needs to take place in the church.
Is that why, like, when services start off, you walk into praise and worship to kind of get you in the mood and get you ready? Is do you think that's why that praise and worship music is so important?
Yeah, I mean it's all part of it. Scientists have done studies on how music changes our mood and makes us
Mhm.
feel and makes us react. Now, I'm slightly older than you, a little bit older than you. So I came from an old generation, old school, where 11 o'clock service, we started off with devotional songs. And if you think that the songs that we hear now in praise and worship, but most praise and worship services, which are kind of new wave, are to a point kind of depressing. Some of them, the old devotional songs will have you want to slit your throat. I mean, they were extremely um, depressing. And so it's funny, you and I talked about this beforehand.
There we
A lot
go.
of the songs that you're going to talk about are kind of new generation. A lot of songs I'm talking about are kind of old generation, because I remember how miserable I felt when I left the church, or at least
Mhm.
after devotional, because it was just like, oh my God, I feel just, it's supposed to be uplifting, and I think that's why you saw the change over the years, from those really, really depressing songs to the more upbeat, the drums, the more upbeat music, because I think people realize that the only people you're going to get in church with those old type songs are old people who are ready to
Right.
transition. But even with the new songs, if you listen to, and we're about to get into all that, but if you listen to a lot of the words, even though the music is upbeat, the words are still debilitating. They're still puts us in
Right.
a place of dependency and woe is me and I'm
Mhm.
nothing and all of that. So the words haven't changed, just the music, because the music is what
Absolutely.
gets us.
And you know what? It's amazing because we started out when I started doing a little bit of research. I actually wrote this down a while back in my notes to research, but gospel music actually started here in Georgia. And it was started by, it's credited to Mr. Thomas Dorsey, and he's credited as the father of gospel music. So, if you could, can you share with everyone a little bit about him, where he's from here in Georgia, but then also what circumstances brought him to develop gospel music or create gospel music?
Yeah, so I think he was born in 1901, if I'm not mistaken. He was in Villa Rica, which is right outside of Atlanta. And according to information about him, he was credited with writing about 3,000 songs. Not all of them gospel, only a third, so about 1,000 1,000 gospel songs he wrote. And so he was given credit for kind of starting gospel music. And gospel music is specific to African Americans. I think white people in the faith call their music something else, but gospel is specifically for us. And for those of you who don't know or may have forgotten, gospel simply means good news. So again, that's ironic if you listen to the music. So I guess in a sense, um, good news to, I always ask myself, what is good news about waiting to die, transition, and be in heaven with God? Now, I guess if you're a true believer, that sounds good to you, but just the whole process. But anyway, so this gentleman, one of the more famous songs, probably the most famous song he wrote was "Take My Hand, Precious Lord," and as Taisha alluded to, he wrote this song, I think, after the death of his wife and newborn child. So it was more of a bereavement song, which if you listen to a lot of the other songs, they kind of have that same take to it, the sound or whatever. So yeah, so this song actually came out of him being bereaved. And I
Mhm.
think we're gonna talk about another popular song by Marvin Sapp that
You can lead right into it. Go right
no,
ahead.
no, no, no. Only because this is a song that I really like, and I
Mhm.
still do. To be honest, I still like the song. But I was told that this particular song he wrote was really about. I think he was married and his wife passed away or whatever. So
Mhm.
again, a song that came out of that. So
Wow.
I just said that. So now we connected songs that are almost 100 years. I don't know. I can't remember what year he wrote. The other song, "Take My Hand, Precious Lord." But at
Probably
least
sometime around the 20s or 30s.
yeah. So we're talking almost 100 years between one song and the other song, and both of these songs came out of a
Oh, that
bereavement
sounds
period or someone being bereaved at the loss of a loved one. Well, so that's kind of the history and how we got gospel music. But those of us who've been in the church, we are familiar with all of the old school famous gospel singers, Mahalia Jackson and James Cleveland, and Aretha
mhm,
Franklin did a lot of gospel music early on in her career, and actually a lot of our secular
mhm.
musicians started in the church.
And you know what? With this, we're not taking credit away from, the talent and the contributions of artists who came out of the church. It's a familiar story that in particular, artists from Motown, started in the deep south in the church, because church, to me, how I see it, it was that platform, okay, developing, talent for playing instruments, harmonizing, so we're not taking anything from that. We know how one genre of music begat another one, and how it evolved. You can tune into a gospel song and you can feel the soul. You can feel just something, the spirit in that song. We're not taking away or disrespecting any of that. And shout out to brother Dewan Brown. Head over to his channel. He's been breaking down, the roots of black music. So make sure y'all go over there and check him out. He brought me on about last year to talk about self-defense, and I called in when he was talking about the mass exodus from the church. So he goes all the way in. Check
Good
him out. And
deal.
also Jason Black and Professor Black Truth. Make sure you check them out, as well as Tariq Nasheed. Check them out, because these are things that are part of our culture. But as we stated so far, is that with gospel music of back in the day, but then also how it has evolved, it doesn't really serve us. But when you take a step out of the church and listen to it, it's like, wow, this is ridiculous. So the first song that I'm going to bring up, and I'm pretty sure many people are familiar with it, is one song, gospel song I can't stand, is I Believe I Could Fly by R. Kelly. I hate that song with all my heart. Space Jam came out when I was probably in the sixth grade when it came out. And I just grew so tired of hearing, I believe I can fly. I can touch the sky. No, you can't. I think about it every night and day. Okay, you're obsessing. Spread my wings and fly away. You ain't got no wings. You can't fly. Okay, it was just dumb. And I really couldn't stand that song. Oh my gosh. That was just one that got on my nerves. You could, like, at that time we did a lot of driving overnight to go on vacation, whatever, and so the mellow mood would be on, and so I'll hear Keith Sweat, Nobody Baby, and I Believe I Could Fly. The fudge, what do you think about I Believe I Could Fly and being a gospel song?
I'm so old school until I never really considered that as a gospel song.
Churches sang it,
Uh,
choirs
oh
used to
yeah, I
get
do. Oh
down
yeah.
with
I
it.
guess it just shows you how old school I am when it comes to
Mhm,
gospel songs. I don't know. It's never been one of my favorite R. Kelly songs. It is popular, and it is very catchy, and I think
mhm,
it goes to our subconscious mind because a
mhm.
lot of things are we subconsciously program it to us, and we just add on top of it, add on top of it, add on top of it, and it creates in us a behavior, a
Right.
desired behavior that other people want to see us,
Mhm.
how they want to see us behave. And
Right.
so a song like that is just it does the exact same thing. And so yeah, so I'll just see it as uh, somebody said, I know he wish he could fly for real, man. Yeah, absolutely. But I I just it just adds to what one of the things that I think irritates me about what we become as a people is that whole helplessness and dependency and just this kumbaya, whatever everything is. And so that kind of bothers me. And so a song like this, a song like that you mentioned with R. Kelly, it just adds to it. It just adds to it. I don't, I guess I'm one of these wannabe revolutionaries who want to see us be more self-empowered and dependent on self and be strong. And the more and more songs we have with us being helpless and needing somebody, which is basically, almost all the gospel songs that we have, and that's why, seriously, that's why I see it as part of the problem. And
Mm-hmm.
so, let me my first list, my first song is like a combination of songs. It's like it's three songs, but it's for a purpose. And it's old school. The first one of the three is Going Up a Yonder. And
Oh my
listen, and
goodness.
I used to sing this song as a kid. And I actually like the song because I guess
I
I
love that
was so
song.
programmed and indoctrinated with it. It was a catchy beat, and the words were easily to be remembered. And then the
Who
other
sang
one is
that? It was it hold on, I forget. Was it Tremaine Hawkins who sang
Walter
that?
Hawkins.
Walter Hawkins,
Walter
okay.
Hawkins, yeah. So the same,
Mhm.
same tree, whatever.
Yep.
Then it was next one is Oh Happy Days, and that's a popular one that people exactly. And
You
then
know what? I
finally,
thought about that. I thought about that because when you actually listen to it, "Oh Happy Day," you know what? What comes to mind when I hear that? I think it was in Sister Act 2. My first introduction to gospel music was Sister Act 2. I was in maybe the fourth grade. And those in Cincinnati, we took a yellow school bus, drove us from what school was I going to this time? I think Rockdale Paideia, took us out to Forest Fair Mall to go see Sister Act 2. And that was my first introduction into gospel music. And I remember the song Joyful, Joyful. That got on my nerves too, because I was like, this is, once I grew up and looked back, I'm like, it's confusing. Like, why don't y'all just do hip hop? Why do you have to like tie it all in there? And speaking of, I mean, it's a way to kind of infuse it culturally. And it was mentioned by Prince Majestic 2.0. I miss the days of Sounds of Blackness. Now, you know what? I still listen to Sounds of Blackness to this
I will still
day.
listen to them as well. And
Yes,
you know what? Let me
I can listen. That's my stuff. I love it.
that's one of my favorite songs. So
Yes.
let me do this third song, and then I have a
Okay.
comment about kind of what Prince of Majestic was saying. So, and the third song of this first group is "Sweet Low Sweet Chariot," and so the reason why I grouped these songs together was because they're talking about um, transitioning and
Mhm.
going to heaven and can't wait to. And people talk about this stuff, but they don't really think about the process. And I always make this argument, like, a lot of people that are singing these songs and waiting to go to heaven, and they're a lot older and they're through living their life. But
Mhm.
a
We in
lot of
them
these
last
people, a
days.
lot of these people were not singing these songs in their 20s and 30s when they were out having a good time and in the club or whatever they were doing.
Thank
So
you.
it kind of rubs me the wrong way because it's kind of like now that I'm 70, 80 years old and I'm through living, they want to point fingers at the younger people saying, we ready. It's time to go to heaven. Da, da,
We in
da.
our last days,
Exactly. We've been in our last days since the first day, right?
right?
So those three songs I kind of grouped together. I'm saying those are the I can't wait to get to heaven songs, which
Mhm.
basically means I can't wait to die. And
I'm
so
just
that's
ready
a
for a peaceful
morbid,
death.
yeah. So that's a morbid mindset that's been
Mhm.
created within us, in part with this music, with church, that we have this, and it's almost like giving up. So why do you? So like this life for a lot of people is just a phase. So why do you come here just to spend most of your life waiting to die? It don't make
Right.
any sense. Even if you believe in God, you should believe that your God created this world for you to enjoy. But yet we spend so much of our time waiting to die so we can get to the next level. That's that whole helplessness and haplessness, because we think that this is the best that it gets for many of us in the current state that we are as a
Mhm.
community. And that's a sad, sad state to be in. But so one of the things I wanted to add, and I remember this in college, uh, to this day, the best concert I've ever gone to is the Mississippi Mass Choir.
Okay.
And so and the people who tuning in to this, you know, religion, especially for me, is still part of my roots and
Mhm.
how I grew up. I don't. I'm not a person standing on the hill saying, "Oh, I hate all these people." No, I recognize, I acknowledge the part that religion, Christianity in particular, played in my life, and it played a very valid part, and it's responsible for part of who I am as a person. but that doesn't mean that it's not played out, or it's time for some changes, or there are not questions. I heard this guy say this, and I'm probably going to say it wrong, but I heard this guy say, you should be carrying the canoe around that got you across the river. You know what I'm saying? So we used religion as a community, as a people, when it was needed for a particular time in our life. We're beyond that time, and I know people like the believers are calling and arguing with this, but we're beyond that time because we know better. We know how to do better. So to still carry on those things that got us where we are now, when they're not necessarily needed anymore or viable, is a waste
Mhm.
of time. It's a waste of energy. But I still enjoyed that Mississippi Mass Choir concert. Concert,
You know
yeah.
what? When it's certain memes that have come up on social media with Rance
Oh,
Allen voice that captures me, but people done made it to a meme and put a caption above it that I can't say here on YouTube, and it's just hilarious,
rest his
hilarious.
soul.
It
It
is
is hilarious.
so
There's a high there's if you catch it on either TikTok or even on Facebook, I think there's this kid. I think he's in high school, and he does the perfect Rance Allen interpretation. I mean, impression. I mean, it is
really
perfect. It
gotta
is.
find it.
Oh, it is perfect. He's a kid. I think he's in high school, and one of the in one video, they're in like a band room, and there's another guy who's kind of being the background music,
Mhm.
and he has him down. I mean, he has it down. So it's really it's interesting. So what is it? Sounds of Blackness is solid. They tap into spirituality infused with a hip hop choir like feel. I love Sounds of Blackness. It's one of it's we all have a soundtrack to our life. um, I think about in the '90s, I was had graduated, getting ready to graduate college, and I was in my mid 20s or whatever. That's part of the soundtrack to my life, hearing the sound of Blackness and the rest of those songs. So yeah, absolutely, I love Sounds of Blackness.
Todd type thing. Can we all agree that Leandria Johnson is the greatest singer on earth right now, though? You know what? As soon as you said her name, what instantly clicked in my mind, I believe this is her. Okay, correct me if I'm wrong. But this is her. She posted this picture of herself hiding behind a towel, on social media. And I'm like, that's one thing that steered me away from gospel singers is that they'll do gospel music, and I call it evergreen content. They'll make secular songs, in particular like SWV, Coco from SWV. Yes, she had her roots in the church. Then, SWV go downtown, and all of a sudden you back doing gospel music. And that's one thing that drove me away. There's a group called Trinity 57, and I believe R. Kelly was a heavy producer for them.
Yeah.
So this is when Facebook was still new. And I followed the singer of the group with the real high voice. And so I remember one time she posted a picture where she was doing a mirror selfie. And y'all know how I feel about mirror selfies. She did a mirror selfie with a robe on that was kind of, showing the boob cleavage. And I'm like, hold on, how y'all singing about the Lord, but y'all got that burning, got that yearning, got that fire down below? I'm like, man, this is some bull. So yeah, stuff like this is what turns me away from the church. Now, turns me away from gospel music. One person who kept it real, we got to put some respect on her name, Patti LaBelle. She went ahead and said, look, I'm a secular artist who sing gospel, but I am a secular artist. Patty kept it real. Much respect to her, but I've said this before, like Christmas songs. Mariah Carey made All I Want for Christmas years ago, but it's evergreen content. It gets renewed every year, and social media has breathed a new life into it. Gospel music is nothing but evergreen content. If you like, okay, I want to get off the pipe today. Let me go ahead and listen to some gospel. It's going to come up. It's evergreen, and as long as an artist keeps some evergreen music in their catalog, no matter how the times change, it'll go from our style in the 80s, our style that was in the 90s, early 2000s. Now we got this, I don't know what's going on, but the gospel music is always going to stay the same. So
Yeah,
yeah, he mentioned Leandria Johnson. I'm like, yeah, you see Miss Tal Peekaboo.
I'm not. I think my wife was telling me about her. If I'm not mistaken, Leandra Johnson. Does she own like? Is she own a restaurant here in Atlanta?
I have
Uh,
no clue. The
I'm
only
not
person
sure.
I know is Gladys Knight. I don't know if her restaurant's still open, but I know
Nah,
Louis.
Gladys Knight stuff is
Yeah, I
closed.
have no clue.
Yeah, but I thought that if this is the same person, so I'm not that familiar. I'm not that familiar with her or her music.
Mhm.
But back to your topic, Thais, where you talked about. So yeah, when I have these discussions with people of the church and we talk about, I say, you know what, it's because the first thing that they'll harp on when somebody like you mentioned that subject in particular, they say, well, you're not supposed to follow man, you're supposed to be following God.
Mhm.
And I use this analogy all the time. If if every time you see me, no, if every time you see me, I tell you how great marriage is and how much I love my wife and how much
Yeah.
marriage is the greatest thing in the world. And it's, but every Friday you see me at the club or at the bar hitting on women, then you got to question, what it is that I'm a part of, my marriage or marriage in general. So it's the same thing. I know these people are not perfect, but if you're going to call yourself representing, your faith, Christianity, or the Lord, then there are some standards that we should see from you. And so that's how I kind of look at it. And those are the things that start people asking questions, which eventually turns into some of them leaving the church. Because if these people are no different than the guy on the street corner that's never been to church or don't regularly go to church, then you got to scratch your head. I remember there was a famous pastor here who I won't mention his name. The first time I saw him,
Mhm.
I saw him, I moved here and I saw him in the mall propped up on a corner with one of his boys, just checking out all the women going by. But this was a prominent pastor here in Atlanta who had a mega church. And I was just like, you no different than the pimp I just saw outside on the street corner. So yeah, it's those things. Um, who is Papa Soul Searcher? What's going on? What's coming? This one song I used to jam in the what is that in the morning was Jesus got to work it out. Oh, that's a hype song. That is a hype song. That is a hype song. You're right. That is
What are
uh
a few songs that you have?
talk about me with other
Yes, you.
songs.
Yes.
So I wrote down also uh, another old song is it's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer.
Oh
And
goodness.
and so again, it's a theme here. It's what this music has done to us as a community is put us in a position, it's added to put us in a position of being so dependent and so helpless, and just so always in need of something external to us. And so you create this complex in even our kids growing up that everything you get or you can't do anything on your own. You need this external deity to give you things, and you need to be on your knees all the time. You need to be begging and pleading this external deity. And I think that is detrimental to our development as a dependent, strong as a independent, strong community. All of this plays in part of it. It's not the biggest part, but it's still a part of it. And so we listen to all these, and I mention this because a lot of people in my generation grew up with this music, and the majority of us are trapped in that whole mindset of it's just what it is. I'm a born sinner. I was born in this. I need God for everything. I can't breathe without God. I can't breathe without you. And so that's so irritating to me and frustrating to me that we've come to this. And the reason again why we're talking about this subject is because the music is a pertinent part of creating that mindset within us. And until we break that mindset, I don't really see us as a collective community accomplishing a whole lot because we're so dependent. And it starts with this dependency on this external, sky daddy, as Taisha always say. So
Speaking
yeah.
of Prince Majestic said, "Don't forget about my dude Fred Hammond." Now, if
Fred
I'm not
Hammond.
mistaken, he made the song "We're blessed in the city, we're blessed in the fields, we're blessed when we come and when we go." I don't think so. Like, have you been tuned into reality? Like, if that's the right guy, I hate that song as well. We're blessed, and in churches, people like, "We're blessed, blessed, blessed." Blessed. It just drives me crazy. I'm like, shut up.
Well,
Blessed,
I
blessed.
personally I personally hate the whole, and I had this conversation with my wife today, and we talked about this yesterday at the event I was at. I personally hate this whole blessed thing with us as Black people. I personally hate it, and the reason why, and
Blessings,
again,
brother.
uh, and again, I'll use this analogy. I mean, when I see us, we get a new car, and the car could be, I don't care if it's, I don't care if it's a, $300,000 car or a $30,000 car. First thing Black people want to do is talk about how blessed. I mean, they'll go out and get a vanity tag that says I'm blessed. And I told this lady one day, I said, listen, you got a new car, yeah, okay, you think you're blessed. I said, but when you drove up into this, when you went into this car lot, they needed you more than you needed them. Because on your way there, I guarantee you passed way more car lots than they had customers that walked into to that on that car dealership. So if you look at all of the salespeople at that dealership and you walking in there, they really need you, right? So it wasn't that you was blessed. You came in there, you had a job, you had a down payment, and you had a good enough credit to where they would sell you a car. If they don't sell a car, they go out of business. They don't eat. So stop looking at it, because again, that goes to the mindset of we're not worthy. We're not anything. We're helpless. So anything that we get, no matter how hard we work for it, no matter what we achieve, the mindset comes up that I'm not worthy. So that's why I have a problem with this. Everything is blessed. That's why never was a huge fan of Snoop Dogg. I like a lot of his songs, but when he got an award a couple of years ago, the first thing he said was, "I want to thank myself." And I was like, standing ovation just for that. Because usually we get something, and the first thing that we say, "Oh, thank God, God made it possible." We win a football game, God made it possible. Don't you think the other team was praying too? So, God got favors there. So it just I'm sorry, I just had a rant when it comes to this whole, everything about us is, oh, we so blessed. Bless this, bless that, bless that. So that's kind of my rant. So
That's what's
yeah.
up. I went to go and look up some songs by Fred Hammond. I think I may have him confused with Hezekiah Walker, but
Okay.
yeah, there's one right here. Nick Cannon, Fred Hammond, Karen Clark Sheard, Kiara Sheard, AJ Bernard, and you know what? I think it was the Clark sisters that made the song "Just Know We're Blessed and Highly Favored." It goes like, "He brought me through hard trials, he brought me through tribulations." That song, I think it was them. That song get on my nerves, especially after watching their life story. They had a part in it, so they show you, whatever. But I'm like, the life that they were singing about, was not the life that they were living. So I kind of chucked all the Clark sisters and Sheards to the game. I'm like, I ain't about to listen to that. But yeah, Nick Cannon, yeah, I ain't saying nothing, but I'm just saying Nick Cannon in a gospel song, yeah, I'm good.
You know what? Now that you bring that up, that's a topic that our community need to speak on.
Mhm.
Um, it's just, and maybe we'll say that for another time if we can tie it into what we
Yes.
talk about here. But yeah, but and so on that note, there, oftentimes we find ourselves praying and begging and singing
Yes.
these songs so God can help us, get out of a situation. But oftentimes we put ourselves in these situations. If I cheated on my wife and she catches me,
Yeah.
I shouldn't be up in front of a church or pulpit or whatever singing a song how God brought me through. I
Right.
created that mess. I created that. That ain't, if you're a believer and you fall ill, you're in a car accident, it's not your fault or whatever, that's a different thing. But we shouldn't be, singing these songs and praising God. God did this for me and God did that for me when we created the mess that we believe that He got us out of or whatever.
Right.
So yeah. Um,
One of the ones, it takes me to another song that's on my list of the worst gospel songs ever. And I feel bad as a mother. Like, if my son was to put me into a nursing home and just leave me there and never talk to me ever again, I deserve it. Especially after playing this song around him. And this song is by CC Winans called Just Like You, Jesus. And here is the chorus. I want to walk like you. I want to talk like you. I want to live like you, just like you, Jesus. Now, think about it. What is the image? You close your eyes. What is the image that comes to mind when you think about Jesus? You think of, the Brad Pittish kind of character from, what is that, The Passion of the Christ, the
Yeah,
Mel Gibson. That's what comes to
Mel
mind.
Gibson.
So
Yeah,
imagine my black child, me as a black woman, this black child made from a black woman and a black man. I want to live like you, Jesus. And then it goes even further. I want to pray like you, want to love like you, want to look like you, just like you, Jesus. I don't give a gosh darn if you dipped them in chocolate. That's still not us. And I was a terrible, terrible mother for singing this and playing this. This is one of the worst gospel songs ever. It is absolutely horrible. What do you got to say looking at these lyrics and hearing this explanation about this? Because
I
this is what mind F words us up. I don't want to say bad words. I'm trying to, be a new woman, but this is the mind fudge of it all.
yeah. I mean, it's exactly like you said. It's everything you said is true in that. Again, it messes with that. There you go, Prince Majestic. Exactly. Again, it messes with the mindset, and all of this ties back to our other podcast shows that we've had. We develop unconscious reverence
Mm-hmm.
for white and white people. And I said this last night to the group, and one of the guys in the group was married to a white woman. And I said, brother, no offense. I said, but we have this unconscious reverence to white people. And he was like, I'm you're probably right, yeah. But this is part of it as well, because at least up until recently, when we sing these type songs and we have an image of what we believe God and Jesus looks like, is exactly what Prince Majestic is saying. Caesar Borgia, whatever his name is, those are the images that we see. And so that subconsciously puts that image in our mind that this person is great and wonderful and good, because and what we see is a white image. So again,
Mm-hmm.
those songs uh, if you those songs push that narrative, but we're not. But again, we're not aware of that because we're just singing these songs because we
Yes.
basically been doing it forever, and so we don't really think. That's again the problem. The biggest problem with that I have with Christianity religion is the lack of critical thinking. Because if we had critical thinking skills and use those critical thinking skills, a lot of these songs that we came up with, we would kind of rethink those songs. So another song for me is yeah, I actually like this song, but if the history behind it and what it says, again, what it does to us, is not is something that again, frustrates me or irritates me about us as a people. And it's probably was the most popular gospel song over the last 10 years. And that's Never Would Have Made It by I think it's Marvin Sapp. Uh, I,
Talk about
I
it.
cannot tell you how many people I've seen driving up and down the highway singing this song at a red light, singing this song. I mean, this is just the song. It was the song that a lot of people. And to be honest, I like the song too. But I think first of all, I think he actually wrote the song because of the death of his wife. And I could be wrong if any experts out
Mm.
there, they can correct me. So I think the song was initially supposed to be about either that or a family member
Wow.
that he had lost. But again, it goes back to uh, the mindset of never would have made it. I can't make it without this external God or deity being
Mm-hmm.
there. When life is gonna happen, you're gonna make it one way or the other. If you don't kill yourself, you will make it. So there have been people who are been in the same position that you've been in that don't believe in anything, and they've made it right. So again, I have such a big problem with the church as an institution and the music as a tool of this institution, putting us in a position of being so dependent and so helpless and so hapless. And and just not being able to do or feel like that we can't do for ourselves, or that regardless of how hard we work, it's still in someone else's. Our success is still in this deity's hand outside of us. Um, and I think if you really look and you dig deep, a lot of that is a problem with our community as a whole. So what I always, I just don't do what I'm doing because I got nothing else to do. I do it because there's a meaning behind it. There's a purpose behind it. So I like to tie in the things I talk about with religion with what's going on currently in our community as a people. So everything that we do need to be critically analyzed. The music in the church, what the songs are saying, what it's doing to us, how it makes us feel, what position it puts us in, and then how we react to that with our kids and our neighbors and our significant others and our jobs. And then we look and see, well, what has it gotten us? Where are we as a collective community? So a lot of these things need to change if we're going to be better. So I just don't. Papa Soul Searcher, you see what he said. My cousin has a pic of baby black Jesus on the wall next to a full grown adult white Jesus. I honestly think she doesn't realize how confusing this is to her children. I laugh so hard inside. Wow, wow. I'm kind of thinking about the old Good Times episode when Michael challenged Florida about Jesus, the picture of Jesus being on the wall, and how she
Right.
just vehemently defended that picture, that white Jesus. Yeah, again, we doing this because to me, the thing that controls us more than anything else is our mindset, and so we have to look into things that affect our mindset if we're going to change or fix our community. And the biggest influence on black people in this country is Christianity. Without a doubt, there's nothing even close. It is the biggest influence on our mindset, how we operate, how we act, how we move. Christianity. And part of this Christianity is the music. That's why we're addressing this today, because we kind of doing it in a funny way, but we hope that some people who are listening or eventually see this later on, that the next time they hear a particular song, they think about it. They say, well, let me like listen to these words. Same thing with some secular music. We get into the beat and it puts us in a certain mindset, but then we get a little older. We're like, wait a minute. I didn't know that the words said that. I didn't know they were saying that. So the same thing with gospel music. We got to look. It might not be violent. It might not be telling us to kill somebody or shoot somebody, but it's telling us that we're worthless. It's telling us that we're helpless. It's telling us that we don't deserve anything. It's telling us that we're nothing without this deity. So and I think to a point that is just as destructive as some of the other music, some of the secular music.
One thing that I want to cut in, like right in the middle of our list, I want to first of all thank everybody for being here with us tonight. I am having a great time, and thank you, Brother Willie. Like these live streams here are really, like, for lack of a better word, reactivating my creativity because for a while I'm like, okay, who's listening? YouTube, strikes me out because I'm not that hey guys YouTuber. So I was like, okay, I was kind of lost and just feeling in the dumps. Do I want to continue? But, just being connected with the right people and also, believing in myself. I believe in myself and I love y'all. I give all y'all the credit. So, right in the middle of this list of the worst gospel songs ever, I did a video with United Front, I think the year before last. Is here on my channel, and I'll link that in the description. What did I turn to after gospel music? And I was going to save this to the very end, but I might forget. And I don't want to disrespect these brothers who have had a monumental impact on my life. I mentioned coming out of Christianity, I went to a lecture in Norfolk, Virginia, and it was by Brother Irritated Genie. And he was speaking on his lecture topic was, where is your black God? And during the intermission where we, were able to, support black owned business and stuff like that, he was playing music in the background by United Front. And I had never heard music like this, and it's described as African insurrection music. I want y'all to
Oh,
go
I
back
like
and
that.
check out the video I did with United Front. So, real quick, for a couple of minutes, I'm going to play one song for you. And this song I came across in 2019, and it's by a brother named Deedle Green. You can follow him on Instagram as well as the rest of the brothers from United Front. But this video here is called Church in the Field. So, I want you to check it out. Let me know if you can hear it. But yeah, this is it. Church in the Field.
Can you turn it up a little bit?
Turn it up. Okay.
Yeah, I barely hear them talking, so I don't know if they
Okay.
started syncing yet. Yeah. Yeah, you gotta turn it up more.
Message said it. Let
Okay.
the critics tell it. We don't tell it on the mountain. My ancestors had a carving fetish. These crackers and they gay hands are molested babies and angel feathers is more than suggestive. Pumps and Vatican weapons. Emotion, promotion, and download guards is oppressive. Message of wrong that distorts and confuses the senses. Welcome to the black church and what it's meant to be. The pastor reaches the people, that's what it meant to me. Grandma heard me break it down. She said I need to preach, introducing Pastor Green, no compromise and crack a free. Welcome to the black church and what it's meant to be. The pastor reaches the people, that's what it meant to me. Grandma heard me break it down. She said I need to preach, introducing Pastor Green, no compromise and crack a free. Pastors and teachers working in the church's service. Due to the evolution of the Negro preacher and his sermon. No cracker worship or making nuns out of our daughters. We honoring our ancestors through rituals and altars. I walk this world and live it though cautious in my desire. Reaching higher as the lies in my mind expire. Preaching fire from the ships protected by your Maya. Oshun sister, while we survive the ride to the islands. Offer her fruit, fish, and silver, a choice to golden diamonds. Accepting guardian spirits, learn how to call and find them. So when I take you to church, remember and remind them. America where I live, but Africa's where you find him. Welcome to the black church and what it's meant to be. The pastor reaches the people, that's what it meant to me. Grandma heard me break it down. She said I need to preach, introducing Pastor Green, no compromise and crack a free. Welcome to the black church and what it's meant to be. The pastor reaches the people, that's what it meant to me. Grandma heard me break it down. She said I need to preach, introducing Pastor Green, no compromise and crack a free. Nobody questioned God's color till cracker define race skin. Jealous cause the carbon in mind keep me black in his space wind. From the greatest to the lowest, I notice no more waiting. Crackers is all devil, corns is the footrest of Satan. Dido always kill it cause Dido make you feel it. Devil in the spirit with them bars off the skillet. I ain't gotta tell nobody I'm African, I already did it. Sometimes I'm rhyming out the line refined, but this is all acidic. Dumb and dumber done did it, cracker grade dig it. I'm the pastor cause I have my words engage spirits. Church in the field is my shield to you for the wicked black power versus always dismissing your crucifixion. Welcome to the black church and what it's meant to be. The pastor reaches the people, that's what it meant to me. Grandma heard me break it down. She said I need to preach, introducing Pastor Green, no compromise and cracker free.
Wow, that's fine. That's
Yeah.
nice. I love the message in that. Absolutely. That is
Y'all go
good.
check him out. And I'm sorry about the sound. It's like
No, that was fine. Once we got it
good
on, it
to
was
have
great.
other
It
people
was
on
great.
to let me know and I can like remember the controls and stuff like that. I have it like turned all the way down. But yeah, that song right there, Church in the Field. We don't
Yeah.
need the buildings where we're monitored, where nothing has been happening. Like I know of a mega so-called mega church that can barely get a third of the seats filled.
Yeah.
So hang on one second, cut that off. There we
Yeah.
go.
The mega churches are starting to go away.
Yes.
Are there
So
many?
I turned to African insurrection music. So make sure, because it's like, okay, our music is there to keep us head lifted up, hands lifted up. And, that brings me to the next song that I want to say that is the worst gospel song ever. Lift every voice and sing. I hate that mother freaking song with all of my heart. And Negroes nowadays on social media talking about it's going to be the new national anthem. Lift every voice and sing. Now, I will admit, I went to, you know, I went to Rockdale. Those in Cincinnati who know about Rockdale, the Pi Day Academy was in the hood. It was just all black children besides, a few that wasn't. But once I grew up, I'm like, okay, lift every voice and sing the Black National Anthem. I listened to it. I'm like, yeah, this is a great alternative. However, you have to read the lyrics. And for me, when I look at the anthems or the battle cries of our counterparts, theirs is talking about defense. The victory will be won. We're going to, march into whatever, and we're going to come back victors. I listened to Lift Every Voice and Sing, and I was like, this is really trash. And it was confirmed by Dr. Khaled, rest in power, peace be upon him. I remember a lecture, and it was a point in time, especially when I lived in Washington. And at that time, I was battling racism, white supremacy every day, discrimination, hostile work environment. Like, I was in it. I was behind enemy lines to the 15th power. I didn't turn to gospel music like I would have. I turned to Dr. Khaled and I was listening. And I think like I stopped what I was doing. My jaw dropped, my heart stopped. He was like, forget lift every voice and sing. It should be lift every fist and swing. I'm like, that's what's up. We need to go toe to toe with these devils, toe to toe with our enemies, and we need to fight. I'm not praying for you. I don't want good to happen to you. I don't want you to change your heart. I want to defeat you. And that's one reason why I really can't stand gospel music. I really can't stand lift every voice and sing, because it is a tool. It is a tool to disarm us. If you got open hands, you got praying hands, guess what? You ain't gripping what you need to grip. You ain't balling up your fist to fight. You are vulnerable. You are a soft target. So I want to take a moment. Brother Willie, what do you say about that? Because I'm about to come in
Well,
and bring it home all
yeah,
the
we got one last song, but let me make my comments on this. Full disclaimer. So I grew up in the Bible Belt,
way.
um, in Birmingham, Alabama, as I think I mentioned before. And so Lift Every Voice and Sing was like our song. We embraced it as our song. And then I attended and graduated from an HBCU. And again, that was our song, a song that embraced us, that we embraced and lifted up. I've never been in favor of having it as another national anthem or whatever. Um, and now that you mention it and the lyrics of it, I absolutely 100% have to agree with you, because as I've always said, especially to religious people, it is unnatural. It is unnatural. It is, that's my Dr. Umar impersonation. It is unnatural. It is unnatural. It is unnatural for us to love and forgive our enemies. It is unnatural. You should never love or forgive someone who's trying to annihilate you, someone who's trying to kill you, someone who's trying to do away with you. It is unnatural. So absolutely. So, but these songs again, these songs are all about us being in a vulnerable position, us forgiving, us looking, helpless, us basically begging for something outside of us to save us or help us. So from that standpoint, I absolutely, and ironically, I have not really um, heard the song or paid a lot of attention to the song since college, and that's been 30 years. But yeah, but up until I was, mid 20s, it was a song that we heard a lot, and had great pride in. But again, I don't think many of us ever really listened to and paid attention to all of the lyrics. It was just something that somebody said, here is the black national anthem, and we kind of embraced it. So yeah, so absolutely. So yeah, I agree with you 100%. So I guess both of us can introduce this last song, and if we have time, we can absolutely take
Just
questions or
one
whatever.
second. I want to
Okay,
hammer in on lift every voice and sing. I'm gonna,
okay.
like you said, we're sharing history, we're educating our
Oh yeah,
people, telling
absolutely.
them why, because we're not going out based off feelings. I told y'all my feelings and how that song did not resonate with me.
Yep.
But I am going to share my screen just one second so I can pull this up. Here we go. And go back to share screen. Yes, we're gonna share our screen. I don't know where my cell phone is. It's buzzing and beeping. I don't know where it's.
I heard it. I heard it beep too.
Yes. All right. Let me make sure y'all can see what I see. Okay, great. So, somebody's calling me. Hang on 1 second. Where's my phone? It's on the other side of the computer. And it's my mom.
Oh, okay.
I called her back. Call you back, mom. All right, great. So let me go ahead. Like I said, you listen to Church in the Field. Type Church in the Field into YouTube by Brother Deedle Green. You can follow him on Instagram, and then I'll link my video to United Front. They say put cards on YouTube videos now, but I don't want to because if I put a card and you click it, you leave this video and lose your placeholder. So I just put it in the description. So here we go. Lift Every Voice and Sing, once referred to as the Black National Anthem. Now, this is from the NAACP website. We already know about that, but yeah, we're going to move on. Lift Every Voice and Sing was a hymn written as a poem by NAACP leader James Weldon Johnson in 1900. His brother John Johnson composed the music for the lyrics. A choir of 500 school children at the segregated Stanton School, where James Johnson was principal, first performed the song in public in Jacksonville, Florida, to celebrate President Abraham Lincoln's birthday. Now, we know good and dang on well, those of us here today, they say next Monday is President's Day. I like to refer to it as, part Slaveholders Day, and it's during our month of Black Heritage Month. So you mean to tell me this was a song, meant for him? It wasn't meant for us. And I'm like, okay. It said, turn of the 20th century, Johnson's lyrics eloquently captured the solemn yet hopeful appeal for the liberty of Black Americans. Set against the religious invocation of God and a promise of freedom, the song was later adopted by NAACP and prominently used as a rallying cry during the civil rights movement in the 1950s and 60s. It has nothing to do with me today. It does not. It's still, when you read the lyrics of Lift Every Voice and Sing, I believe there's only one sentence in the entire song that could be empowering, that could encourage you to keep, fighting, not praying, but it does mention God, 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 God. When you look at battle cries and songs for other people, God is going to keep them victorious. God is going to defeat their enemies. Jesus forgives, but we don't. Ours is still, it's on some love thy enemy stuff. And I'm like, it doesn't serve me. And it makes me, it gets me a little, upset when each time, we talk about Black Heritage Month or Black history, they make sure to shine focus on they were a Christian, it's going to hymn in the background. And I told you just how important the psychology of selling, the psychology of learning is. They'll, how producers put together, a movie. It's based on your psychological impulses. And I absolutely hate that because they're coming with some and I'm like, I don't want to hear that. But Lift Every Voice and Sing is not something for us to celebrate. It does not describe us. And like I said, since I've come out of the church and all that good stuff, I'm like, you know what? I'm on some other stuff that is empowering. We're in a battle mode, but I can see how this song is now used as, our oppressor taking both sides of the argument. It makes us feel good, but it also disarms us. And that's why I do not like Lift Every Voice and Sing. I believe in lift every voice and lift every fist and swing, stand up for yourself. And that's why I say this song is one of the worst gospel songs ever.
Yeah, it's for those of us who understand the true history of Abraham Lincoln and the Civil War and the Emancipation Proclamation. Taisha is right on point. Those of you who don't, that you first of all, it's embarrassing that you don't, but you really need to do your history, do your research on the Emancipation Proclamation, what Abraham Lincoln actually thought about Black people, why he signed the Emancipation Proclamation, and the whole Civil War thing. So yeah, absolutely. I agree with you 100% on that. Even more so for me, I'm all about songs and movements that are going to empower us. They're going to, equip us to figuratively and literally fight if we have to. I'm not condoning violence, but I'm definitely not condoning us sitting still and allowing people to continue to oppress us. Those days are long gone and long over. And anything that connects us to that, we need to do away with. And so a lot of these songs that we've mentioned is that. Um, Along with that, um, every song that I've mentioned, I've kind of had a caveat to it and said, well, I like the music, it was good, but this song was bad for this reason, this reason. And Taisha has said, I hate this song, especially Lift Every Voice and Sing. So toward the end, finally, we come to a song that I have always hated. I have always thought that it did a disservice to us as a people. Um, Even before I knew the history of the person who composed the song or wrote the song, I thought it was one of the worst, if not the worst song, uh, gospel song ever done. It happens to be, without a doubt, the most popular gospel song probably ever written. Um, and that song is Amazing Grace. I have always hated that song. You listen to the words, and first or second sentence, it talks about how we are a wretch. And I think Taisha, you have a definition of what wretch, of what wretch is, or being wretched. If you remember, I think we talked about it on that.
Just 1 second. I have to
Okay.
give a shout out. I have to give honor to our sister. If you're a longtime subscriber here, if we're friends on Facebook, my fellow Cincinnati sister right here, Urban Farm Sister. Follow her on TikTok. She is an educator. She stood 10 toes down during the past 2 years. She was the voice of reason. I love her so much. And it was actually her. I'm using her term and I must give her credit. I just sent her an invite to join us. And she actually came up with Black Heritage Month. And I did my best to change my vocabulary to reflect that because Black History Month is showing that we're in the past. When I drive through these backcountry roads, these highways and byways, I see like streets named after or communities named after who, Europeans took the land from. So I'm like, hold on. I'm not gonna go so much to it. I'm gonna give her a chance to join, but I was like, that is very correct because when you look at what is it, Latinx Heritage Month, Asian Heritage Month, Filipino Heritage Month, like they have a culture. No disrespect to Dr. Carter G. Woodson, but this is our heritage. Black is our heritage here. We have contributed greatly. The inventions of our ancestors are still being used today. Things have been stolen from us. This is what we need to recognize. This is our heritage, okay? And to give her a chance to join if she wants to, if she wants to, but there's a documentary and I'll find the name of it. I caught it by accident. Y'all know I'm a nerd, so I watch PBS. I don't have cable and I don't have all the many apps that total cable after, a while. But there was a documentary that talked about, how foundational Black Americans, Black people here in America, how we kind of own the English language. People pick on us, okay, y'all don't have a native tongue, y'all lost it. It was this, it was that. But when you look at artists like Twista and how he could take, words and just put so many syllables per second, per beat, per line, how we do spoken word and can take the words and just mash them up into something great. We are ashamed. Like, let me tell you, here's a quick sidebar. I was ashamed of my name. It wasn't until Tariq Nasheed, he had a broadcast a couple of years ago. I remember I'm still living in Hawaii. There was a sister who wrote a book on, unique Black names. I've always been ashamed of my name. So, even when, I met my boyfriend now, I use my middle name. But I had to tell him, like, hey, my first name is this. I didn't tell you because I thought you would think I was hood and about some other stuff. But it was so surprising because he's like, no, my sisters all have a variation of Isha. I'm like, wow, okay, that's what's up. But it made me ashamed of myself. But I've done great things with my name, Taisha Essex. My company is named after it. And that's why I did that because I'm like, I would never be ashamed of myself. And there's been times where I thought about changing my name. So that's why you have Timonics. That is very a piece of each of my names. But I love how Sister the Urban Farm sister Nadia Ruff, my Cincinnati sister. I gotta have her back. You gotta come back. You hear me? You gotta come back. But yes, this is Black Heritage Month, and it's Black Heritage 365. Like Dr. Neil Jackson, or brother or Dr. Ahmed Yakim, who I interviewed last year for his book Condemnation of the Goddamned. But YouTube would ban me for it. Goddamn, he said the same thing. February is known as Black Halloween, where those who are, bootlicks and the animals on the end of my New Orleans blog, go watch that. They come out and play dress up for February. So I don't mean to go off on a tangent. I just had to be so passionate about that, come out and tell y'all, like, yes, Black heritage is not Black history, because we're not gone. We're not extinct. This is our heritage. We are here today. We're here for the future. And that's why I have this channel. That's why I don't do content that, is trending. I could easily do like, oh, here's my Fenty beauty. Here's my this. And I don't do Fenty. No, but I'm here for my people. I'm trying to, battle the algorithm, battle YouTube, because I want a channel where you gain something. I want to contribute something, contribute constructive content to my community. My grandchildren, my future grandchildren are going to watch this channel. Everybody else who knows me, they're going to judge me off my content here. So I want it to be the best, and I want it to be for my people. So that's pretty much it. Now with the rant.
No, as always, it's funny. It's amazing how much we have in common, because I have the same issue with my name. I'm the previous generation, so-called. My first name is Willie. It's not William. It's not Will. It's Willie. So I've had all kind of issues growing up, being in corporate America, the whole 9 yards, with my name being Willie, believe it or not. So yeah, we share some of the same issues with that, and maybe we'll do a discussion on that at a later date.
Here's something funny. I noticed, like, here in the South, I think it's funny because I noticed, like, Willie is not short for William, or I'll meet guys named Larry. It's not short for Lawrence. But here in Georgia, like the top half of Georgia, like from, I say, Atlanta North, I'll meet guys named, what are their names up in that area? Their names is Joshua. It's like all their mothers got together and said, you know what, we're going to name our sons Joshua. So I was just named Josh. From Atlanta to about Fort Valley, Georgia, everybody's name is Larry, but it's not Lawrence. It's just Larry. Then from like Fort Valley down to the Florida line, everybody's name is Mike, and it's not Michael. It's just Mike.
Yeah. It's and I'm from Alabama, so yeah, it's a name. But glad to have Urban Farm Sister with us as well. And I think the last song we were talking about was the whole Amazing Grace song. So the words of it, referring to ourselves as wretched, I think it in itself is enough for this to be the worst song. I think the worst gospel song ever. But given the history of the person who wrote the song, and yes, before we get people calling in and writing in and saying who might see this video later, I know that this person changed his ways, had a Damascus type of thing that he eventually changed his wicked ways, and eventually wrote this song because of that. But it's still, the history of it is still what it is. The person who wrote this song was a captain of slave ships for a number of years, transporting our ancestors, so this is who this person was. And people can change and all that. Listen, if you guys don't know me now, you haven't followed me, I'm not the dude that's gonna. There are certain things that cross the line for me and ain't no coming back. You mistreat my people, I don't care how many gods you see. I don't forgive like that. I don't, because to me, his whole I don't know why he changed. And I don't know if him changing actually made him feel better about who we were as African Americans, or descendants of African Americans, or enslaved people. So yeah, but the fact that the person who wrote this song, it was a captain of slave ships, all of that, and then the very words of this song, and the fact that we as African Americans have embraced this song throughout the generations, like we wrote this song ourselves. I mean, it's amazing to me. So I've never been a fan of this particular song whatsoever. So to me, my number one worst gospel song ever, and I've always thought this is Amazing Grace.
You know
We,
what?
we have a guest. Do we have a guest?
Yes, we are joined by Urban Farm Sister. She is here, Sister Nadia Ruffin. Oh my gosh. I'll have you close this out and bring that fire because this woman right here, she is credited with Black Heritage Month. And before we get to her, I put up the definition of wretch. And one thing that I really hated was that when Barack Obama went to Denmark BC's church after that act of terrorism. And the best he could do was sing that stupid A word song. And you know what? Shout out, shout out to another Cincinnatian, brother Jeremiah Kamara. Y'all need to go check him out. Check out his
Check
slave
out.
service here on YouTube. And then go to Amazon Prime and check out his documentary, Contradiction and Holy Hierarchy, The Racist Roots of Religion. He
We
actually
are going to get him on here one of these days. I'm reaching out to him. I'm reaching out to him. We got to get him
he
on.
actually pointed out that Barack Obama is an atheist. So here we go to your church singing the worst song that he could sing to y'all in the pews. And y'all like, but let the act of terrorism happen here in Atlanta and a hate crime bill is passed. You know what I'm saying? That's such a slap in the face. But because, those in the church were so on this vibe, they got that. But I'm going to shut up and turn to Sister Nadia Ruffin. Can you introduce yourself, tell people where to find you, and tell us about Black Heritage Month? This is all about you right now.
Hey guys, my name is Nadia Ruffin. I'm also known as Urban Farm Sister online. You can subscribe to me on YouTube under Urban Farm Sister, Instagram, and Facebook. I used to have a TikTok, but they were about to ban me because I was trying to educate on there. I wasn't doing dancing videos and stuff, so I don't really post on TikTok anymore. But you can find me on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram the most. But yeah, about this Black Heritage Month. So I used to be one of those people that would like post, like about because my area is agriculture and science. So every year I would do like 30 posts for our 28, 29 posts, depending on how long February was going to be that year. And I would highlight, different scientists and different people in agriculture that were Black. And then I start thinking like, why am I doing this every year? And I'm looking like, I'm posting about all these people that were slaves and they suffered and all this stuff. And I'm like, our heritage is not just slavery. That just like interrupted our heritage. But we don't even look at ourselves as like, a culture. You have to look at what culture is. Culture is, our food, our way of how we go about doing things day by day. And so I went on the calendar and I looked up like all the other ethnic groups, and they have like Asian Heritage Month. Nobody else had a history month. It was all everybody's heritage. And I'm like, so why is our history? So then I look up the meaning of history, and it was like a series of events. And I'm like, we're more than just a series of slavery events, because every Black history, the only thing they want to ever bring up is the bad. We were slaves, we fought for civil rights. They talk about the same 5 people, Martin Luther King, Harriet Tubman, and they whitewash them.
Yep.
They don't even tell the true story about those people, but they never go beyond that. And I'm like, we weren't always slaves. We didn't just show up here and we were slaves. We had a whole culture. And if you look at reality now, people steal from Black America's culture. Even Africans steal from our culture. We set the standard. Everybody steals from it. Everybody profits from it, and we get nothing. And that's our heritage. The things that we do on a daily basis, that's our heritage. That's our culture. But we don't even see ourselves as that. We're always trying to latch on to somebody else's culture, whether it be Latino people, white people, even African people. We have our own culture. We have our own heritage here, being here in the United States. And so it was like, no, I'm going to stop calling it Black History Month, because we're not just a series of events. We're actually a culture. We set standards and things like that. We have our own standards. We have our own way of living. We have all these things that make up our heritage and our culture, and it wasn't being presented. We were only getting the same washed down thing every year. And I'm like, I'm going to stop doing that, where I'm, just talking about these people And a lot of them were just men. It wasn't like you were, when it came to women, we were kind of excluded from the culture for a long time. Women were in this country, whether they're black, white, whatever, we never really got that aspect of the black culture from the woman. It was usually the woman worked with the man, or she had to ask for permission and things like that. And I was like, women and black men, we both contribute equally to our culture and our heritage, but we weren't having that whole story told. And so I was like, I'm gonna stop doing this, and I'm gonna stop calling it Black history. And that's how I came up with that. So that was, I think, 2020 when I did that. And I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna just call it Black Heritage Month, and that's what I did.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. I think it's right on time and right on point. So credit to you. Kudos to you, sister, for doing that. And I'm going to start referring to it as Black Heritage Month. So absolutely. Good deal.
It is so beautiful because it's powerful. Like this past weekend, I went down to Thomasville, Georgia, and at first, I didn't want to go down there. I drove through there, but when I saw the sign, like, okay, Thomasville, Georgia, the herd, get the hell out of here. This is a known sundown town. And speaking of sundown towns, the author James Lowen, who wrote the book Sundown Towns and Lies My Teacher, told me he actually passed away in 2021. I did not know about that. But and then a close friend, he told me when I'm driving through there, he had a bad experience in Thomasville. So I would have just, kept driving through. Y'all know me, I'm always on the road. But I went down to the Jack Hadley Black History Museum. And, I think once we start adopting and claiming Black heritage, Nadia Ruffin is the mother of Black Heritage Month. That's your title now, the mother of Black Heritage Month. We'll start to change that because our heritage is still being documented today. We have our own food. And down in Thomasville, I haven't done a video on that. I shared some pictures on Instagram and Facebook, but you can definitely tell the divide. There's like an area where you can tell where white people lived and where Black people lived. The high school, was named Frederick Douglass High School. And, we really need to pay attention to, Frederick Douglass. They said that in his life, he kind of lost his mind, but, he put in work for us and documented. But when I look at cuisine, foods, and I noticed this back in 2019 when I first came to Georgia, that I would go to a southern kitchen, a southern, spot. When I look at or I walk into the restaurant, it's all white faces. It's the hostess is white, the waitresses are white, the bartender's white. But when I take a peek in the kitchen, it's all Black people back there. And when I look at the menu, foods that, I was ashamed to say I ate coming up, like salmon croquettes, they have them on the menu going for like $20 a pop. And I'm like, hold on a minute. So our food is heavily gentrified. So as we were in Thomasville and we were going to go to a barbecue spot that was Black owned, they weren't open. And I regret because we should have waited to spend all of our money there, but we kind of split it up. But we went to this other spot and I'm opening up the menu. I walk in, it's all white people. I look in the kitchen, there's Black people. But in the menu, you see those subtle hints of, whatever you want to call it. This dish inspired by Paula Deen. Inspired by Paula Deen. I'm like, we know good and got darn well that she stole them recipes from Black people. Our ancestors, our olders and our elders are in nursing homes. And, you have people that will come and visit them and they'll take their recipes and talk to them and then they'll monetize. Our food is being monetized, things that we were ashamed of eating. I got some oxtails in the oven. We're ashamed to eat those, but now that it's a main course, delicacy, and they can make money off of it. And I'm going to step back for a second while I'm thinking about it. I purchased this book while I was there. This book here is called Music Roots, but it is a cookbook by Jack Hadley's sister, Patricia Hadley, and his brother, Richard and Patricia Hadley. This book has recipes. So I am so excited to add this to my collection because the article I read about her, she actually she had an illness and she wrote this book because she said, I see people getting fed and we need to start going back to the kitchen, cooking our own food, staying away from the poison that's being sold to us. And this is why Urban Farm Sister is so important. So can you tell us about the course you have going on now and how you are, producing Black farmers, producing Black agriculture, and the work that you're doing, the tireless, endless, most much appreciated work that you're doing.
Yes. So I have an organization that I founded in 2016. It's called Agri Academy Inc. Basically, Agri Academy Inc. is a research institution that we focus on agricultural research, such as biotechnology, entomology. I'm actually an entomologist. Farming using technology and things like that. But our focus is mainly Black farmers, because we know about all the things that have happened to Black farmers over the history of the creation of this country. And so we have all these different programs. We go to schools. Right now we're in one predominantly Black Catholic school here in Cincinnati. We teach the children 5th through 8th grade about the agriculture industry. Everybody thinks just agriculture is just farming, and reality is not. Farming is a big aspect of it, but there's so many different careers and businesses and things that black people could start under agriculture and be very profitable, and they could bring in income, create a industry in their communities and things like that. So we have a program called Black Empowerment Through Agriculture. It's specifically right now, we were trying to focus on Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana because there's really no Black farmers up here in these 3 states. It's 98%, 98.9% white farmers. Black farmers, I think altogether in all 3 states, it might be, was it 900?
Black farmer.
Yes.
954.
954 for 3 states when you have like over 100,000 white farmers in these 3 states. Each state, like it was ridiculous how many white farmers are here. And agriculture, this is the backbone of the United States. Basically, if you don't have agriculture, you don't have anything. But agriculture provides our infrastructure, it provides our fuel, provides our food, clothing, everything that we need to operate on a daily basis. There's some agricultural industry that's related to that. Even down to getting rid of waste and things like that, that still falls under agriculture. And so I have this program. It's called Black Empowerment Through Agriculture. We have our next cohort starting on Monday, February 21st. It's free. It's an 8-week course where we teach people for this particular class how to start small scale farming operations. Even if you just have a backyard, or you don't even have a backyard, you might have a basement. We'll go through all these different industries that will do well in this region, but basically can do well across the United States. So if you go on to our website, which is agricademyinc.org, and she has it pulled up here, and you see where it says new class starts February. And if you click on that link where it says click here to register, it'll pull up the form, and you can register, and we'll put you in there. And like I say, the class starts Friday. It's all online. I'm sorry, Monday, and it's all online. And it's 8 weeks long. And then for individuals that live in Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, if you live outside of those states, we're going to have people that pass with at least an 80%. The classes, they are graded. You have homework assignments, you have quizzes and things like that. But if you pass, we're going to do over the summer where you actually run an operation. You learn about, I think we're going to focus on cut flowers this time. And then we'll have some stuff for the youth where they'll be growing potatoes and learning about that and things like that. But you will have to pass that part of the class. And then if, like I said, if you live outside of this state, if you wanted to be part of that, of course, you would have to find your own lodging and things like that. It'll be about pretty much the whole summer, because if you're growing a crop, it's going to take, a succession of days, like 2 or 3 months to get the crop to completion. But like I say, there's not a lot of Black farmers. I don't know if you guys have seen in the news, like where they had signed this legislation that it wasn't just specifically for Black farmers. It was for all socially disadvantaged farmers. So that's Black farmers, Native Americans, Asians, Hispanics. They were supposed to forgive agricultural loans for a certain group of these individuals. Well, white farmers said that was reverse racism, that they were not having to allow access to that money. So that money's being held up. So these farmers that thought they were going to have their loans forgiven, now they're not going to be forgiven at this point. They're gonna like draw this out for years, I'm pretty sure. so they never get that money. And so what I try to do with my organization is I try to come up with ways that you can start operations without having to rely on the USDA. USDA was created to discriminate against us. They've always been discriminatory. They've never been right by us. They were created by Lincoln during the Homestead Act and all that stuff to exclude us from having land, having being able to farm, things like that. So for us to think that the USDA is going to have a turn of heart one day and treat us fair, that's just like us listening to Lift Every Voice and Sing. It ain't nothing. Nothing's going to change. So when I try to like I say with Agri Academy, I teach and I try to show where you don't have to start out with 100 acres of land. You can start out with a backyard. And nowadays, having 100 acres of land, a farm, that's so labor intensive, and it's so much pesticide and stuff that has to be used on that much land. It's not safe. Um, and so if you start in a backyard, depending on what crop you're growing, and there's a lot of stuff that needs to be grown now because we have so many shortages from food to toilet
Most
paper.
recently, the avocado. It's about the avocado
Yes,
thing going
the
on.
avocado. Yes, the avocado thing. That's a major thing. I don't know if you guys know that the USDA and the federal government, they halted importing avocados from Mexico. We were already in a avocado shortage before they halted it. The reason something happened, one of their inspectors went to try to inspect the field or where they had the avocado trees, and the cartels threatened the person, so they're banning any imports until further notice. So who knows how long this is going to be. As a result of that, avocados, the price is going to skyrocket. And avocados now, since everybody wants to be vegan or vegetarian, that was like one of the main superfoods they would use. So now you're not going to have access to that. And I was like, avocados, they grow in southern states, especially if you live in zone 9. I don't know if you guys know the USDA zones. It's certain zones that plants do well based off the last frost and the first frost and all this stuff. But there's a lot of black farmers, especially in the southern, eastern, southeastern states, Florida, uh, the southern part of Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, that could be actually growing these avocados. And we can start that whole industry where we're growing locally in the United States, grown avocados, and we wouldn't have to have imports. And we could sell to everybody. You don't just have to just sell to black people. You could sell to everyone. But that's an industry that we could get into if, we wanted to pivot and change to that. I'm finding that a lot of the black farmers that do exist, they're older and they only want to focus on, two main industries, farming cattle or trying to get a contract with the USDA for some type of grain, whether it be corn or soybean or something like that. And so as a result, we've limited ourselves. But there's so many markets out there that we can enter into. We have all these food deserts. We have all these places that don't have grocery stores, and they're predominantly black communities. I don't understand why there's not a connect between the black communities and the black farmers. That connect has to go on. But
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So obviously we have a historical history with farming and agricultural, our people. My mother was a sharecropper in Alabama, but a lot of our HBCUs in part was started as part agricultural schools. I went to Alabama A&M, and the A stands for agricultural. FAM used the same way a lot of other schools. And when I was in school, which was a long time ago, I did know of people who were actually majoring in agriculture. I don't know if that's still the case. Is there some kind of way where you guys can connect with some of the HBCUs to get the younger people more involved in farming or whatever, especially at these HBCUs that have a history of that?
So let me explain that. So those HBCUs are called the 1890 schools. They were created by the USDA to allow black people to go to school because they didn't want them going to the white land grant schools that were established in the 1865. So they're not really owned by these black people. They're still owned by the USDA. What is happening now with the HBCUs that have agriculture and science programs, they're being dominated by other ethnic groups now. Um, there's a lot of Indians that come from India.
Persons of color.
Yes, they come from these other places. They get the scholarships and stuff that the black students would normally get because they are considered socially disadvantaged as well because they're Asian, and they take up those spaces. And also, the agriculture industry isn't really marketed to black communities, especially like I live in the city. I live in Cincinnati. The only reason that these children are learning about the agriculture industry is because I decided, because I majored in agriculture, and I said, we need to see more people that look like me in this field. And I decided to create a program. It's not really marketed to us. What happens is the way kids are introduced to agriculture is that some white organization comes into their community that they live in a food desert and they say, we're going to start a garden and we're going to use this garden to feed 2,000, 4,000 people. A little 8x4 garden is not going to sustain 4,000 people. So they come in, they get all this grant money from the state, public health, whatever, and they only see, well, I just grow a garden. They think that's the gist of agriculture, just growing a garden.
Yeah.
And they're not realizing companies like what's the agriculture company? I can't think of them now right now.
Right now, especially across country with new homes being built, I see a lot of sod deliveries. So there's a sod farm, I believe, over in Peach County, Georgia. So sod is one. There's a brother up in Blairsville, Georgia. Shout out to brother Isaiah. I purchased honey from him. He is a beekeeper. My honey comes exclusively from him. I have a honey, but my honey comes from him.
Yes.
Let me go grab a bottle.
Just like she said, the sod. I mean, there's so many different industries that we could get into that we're not being exposed to. And so that's the reason why you don't have a lot of young people. The young people that grow up in a farm home that are black, they see their parents only, farming cattle. And that's a lot of work and that's a lot of money. And then they're relying on the USDA to give them loans and they can never pay them off and they lose their land and all this stuff. So when they're not having anything else presented to them, they think, well, I don't want to be a cattle farmer. But they're not realizing they don't even have to be a farmer. They could be in logistics because you got to figure out how to deliver all this stuff. Or they could be, like marketing, finance, the food safety, all these different things they could go into. But if nobody's coming to your school and saying, these are some options that you can do in this particular industry, they're not going to pursue that. They're going to think, oh, I don't want to farm cattle. And that's the only thing they think, cattle and chicken. And all I think is that it's just food, and they don't realize that it's not just that. And so there's going to have to be more programs like Agri Academy that pop up, because even when you have these HBCUs, they're not going to the schools either. And, marketing to these high school students or even the 7th, 8th, 5th graders and things like that. They're not going out and doing that. Just like her honey right there. There's not a lot of black beekeepers, but the numbers are increasing because they're realizing that this is a needed industry. The beekeeping industry is actually collapsing. Bees are not really native to this country. They were brought here by Europeans. And there's a lot of issues with keeping bees now because of pesticides being used out in the environment, them trying to create them where they take them from one state and they take them all over to California and they ship them back and forth. They have diseases now, they have parasites, all types of stuff. A person could get into that. They may not actually be beekeepers. They could be an entomologist like I am, and they could be doing research to figure out how to fix some of these problems that have been created in that industry. How do we get bees to make more bees? Because the populations are collapsing now. So it's a lot of things that we can get into, but you have to have somebody going in and showing these young people that these are options out there.
Well, I really appreciate the information that you brought to us. I mean, it's really enlightening, and again, it just shows the variety of this program and the information that we can get, and why this is what Taisha is doing, bringing us together, is so important, because there's so many topics that are interrelated to us. So I appreciate, kudos to you again, sister, for the work that you're doing. Absolutely, keep doing it, and join us more often.
I'm thinking that also too, we can link up again next week. You're like overdue to come back, and I thank you for having me on your channel to speak of, self-defense, but also prepping and things like that, because you have power outages, you have severe weather. This is constructive content. This is what we're doing over here. And our content, like we should have hundreds of thousands of views. However, we are shadow banned because we're not doing what YouTube wants us to do. It's very easy, like Sister Nadia said on TikTok, to do a dance. I told y'all, change your VPN to an Asian country, and you will see the difference in what's suggested to you, like on, I call it shit talk. I'll say it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But I took Nadia's class last year on agriculture, and one of the takeaways I have from that, you're considered a farm if you sell up to $1,000 of produce. That's
Yes.
easy.
Yes.
I'm saying that is really easy. You can do it in your backyard. Right now, how we need someone, and I posted a link for the Black Farmers Index. I would love to see us fill in those areas. It's broken down by region, like Nadia said. But I would love to see us on there. When food supplies shut down, I know that I can call on this Black farmer over there, this farmer over there. I've seen different things where it's like a veteran owned farm and stuff like that. But it would be great that we have our own places to go to. And I know it just took us from music into farming, but Nadia, I would love to have you back if your schedule allows next week, besides Wednesday. But I would love to have you back, and we're going to go in on Black empowerment through agriculture.
Okay, I could definitely do that.
Absolutely. So I think this is a great place to, close out. Brother,
Yep,
do you
yep.
have any final words to close us out in the church? Let the church say it again, and we see you next
This is
day.
just this
Still
was
baking in the church.
I think this was enjoyable, and I'll close on this. I hope that what we did today, at a minimum, will cause people to uh, do a critical analysis of what's in the songs that we sing in church, the gospel songs, and the effect that those songs have on us and our mentality and our mindset, and watch our behavior based on how we bring those songs into us. And so if that happens, if one or two people or a few people see this and do that, then I think it'll be well worth it, because this is small journey, small. We're growing, we're growing. People are asking questions. People are waking up. So absolutely. So hopefully everything that we do, including today, is something that's going to support and help our community, help us to become critical thinkers, and help the community to grow. So thank you to everyone that called in and sent us messages and supported us. And thank you, sister, for the information you gave us on agriculture.
Oh, you're welcome.
Kind of does tie in all together, because you have the folk of the church sing the songs. He is my shepherd, he leads me to green pastures. Yeah, green pastures. You go ahead and become a Black farmer and become the agriculture. Okay, so
Yes.
leave your butt back here next week as we talk to Urban Farm Sister Dottie. Do you have anything? And shout out to Brother Chandler, how you doing? And to her son, Nadia's son, he is a math genius. He is a whiz. He also has tutoring. So if your child, needs tutoring in math, and math is something that they steer us away from in
Yep.
school. We're taught, like, let me pick a degree that doesn't have too much math. No, math is where it's at. And so can you tell us how to get in contact with you, what you offer, your channel, your platforms, and anything else you want to say?
Who, me?
Yes, you.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Oh yeah, you can reach me again on Facebook under Urban Farm Sister, YouTube under for Urban Farm Sister, and Instagram under Urban Farm Sister. Also, my website agracademyinc.org. I also have urbanfarmsister.com, and then I grow and sell produce myself under my farm, my urban farm, Kiwi Produce. Again, if you're interested in enrolling, you can do so up until I believe Sunday is when it's going to cut off. If you're interested in starting a small scale operation, we cover all types of things from corn to growing mushrooms to raising crickets and all types of stuff. Because people don't realize all these things are needed, and there's people making millions of dollars now selling these products, and they're not even a good quality. So if it's something that you're interested in getting into, definitely sign up for the class. My son, he does the tutoring. He's not doing that right now. He'll probably be doing it over the summer. He's had to stay focused on schooling and all that other stuff right now, but he does the tutoring. Um, he'll have his little link on my Ag Academy actual course site um, that I am revamping. And I'm going to have other classes on there, not just the Black empowerment. I'm going to have a mushroom class and also a gardening. Well, I can focus on showing people how to grow stuff, but I want to focus more on the entomology, so people are not just going and spraying random stuff on their plants and killing their plants, and also inadvertently killing themselves by spraying poison and stuff on there. So my focus is going to be more of how to control insects and what are good insects, what are bad insects, and things like that. But I'll talk about that more next week when I come on explaining that. So I don't take no more time up.
That's what's up. Thank you so much. And Nadia and Willie, if y'all can stay on after I end the broadcast, I just want to say thank you to everybody for tuning in tonight. I really appreciate you. I really appreciate your support. And I really, really encourage you to go over and check out Brother Willie, who is freeing you from religion and Christianity. Go pick up his book on Instagram, From Saved to Sane. My
Amazon.
journey.
Pick it up on Amazon. You said Instagram. You said Instagram. It's all right. Get it on Amazon.
All these grace in one room. I don't feel worried.
From saved to sane.
If I could, that's one. If I could just touch the hem of your garment, that's what I have. Touching the hem of a garment, you on your goddamn knees. Let me get out of here. I really appreciate y'all. Join me on my other social media platforms, Taisha Essex, all across the board. Except for Snapchat, my son, he tells me I'm too old for Snapchat to stay on Facebook with old people sharing chain letters. So that's what I do. I will see y'all in the next video. Make sure your notifications are on and check out my self-defense store, Timonics, Be a Hard Target. I had a video coming up about that. I'm hold myself to doing it. I will see y'all on the next video. Also to let me think. If you also shout out to Jay Shine Randoms. If you stayed tuned in all this time, he sent some items and I want to send them to you. So if you've been watching all this time, you took in all this information, email me at info@taishaessex.com with your mailing address, because he sent me a bunch of calendars annotating Black history. This is from the Equal Justice Initiative. You remember my vlog a year before last? I went over to Montgomery, Alabama, to the Peace and Justice Museum and Memorial. He gifted these to this channel. And so if you stay tuned with us for this 1 hour and 46 minutes, you deserve one of these. Send me your mailing address and I will get one out to you. Brother Willie and Nadia, I already have 2 with your name on it. So I'll get your information after this. We will see you next video. I'm going to go ahead and cut this out because my oxtails are smelling good. And I'll see y'all next time. Have a good one. I love you.
Good.
See you later.